Ryan Tseko, welcome to the Bigger Pockets podcast. A little background for our listeners. Ryan's been investing for about 15 years. He started in single family and small multifamily early on in the state of Arizona, has $3 million invested, making 10 to 12 a month, fully passive now. And we will find out why that is later. Ryan has a love of flying and leveraged that passion into a new career. The biggest hurdle he overcame was the do-it-yourself mindset. And we are excited to hear all about this. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, David and Rob. Always great to be here.
Thank you for that. It sounds like a lot of your foundation is built on being a pilot, which is important because I've learned the older I get how much the foundation of myself is built on looking at the world through the prism of a basketball player. It was like my first passion I ever had. So when I form a business, I build a team, I take an approach, I always see it analogous to playing basketball. I'm guessing that you're probably going to have something similar to being a pilot. Is that the case?
Yeah, for sure. And look, I actually didn't even know I was going to be a pilot when I was growing up. My uncle, it was something that he always wanted to do. I was 17 years old. He was a builder. I wanted to buy my first house. And he looked at me, he says, "Son, you don't have any money." And so we were flying one day and he's like, I looked at him and I'm like, I could actually get paid to fly airplanes. And when he said yes, I was hooked. And so it was actually kind of a roundabout way for me getting back into real estate. But 1000%, I mean, aviation and flying, like basketball, there's just a lot of discipline. There's a lot of training. There's a lot of checklist. And so that's helped me tremendously transfer the skill set that I've learned in my 20s into buying real estate and managing real estate. So 100%.
Oh, yeah. I imagine that's very much like your pre-flight checklist, buying properties and knowing what needs to be done when they're bought. You have to have great vision, know and trust your instruments, rely on the information that other people gave you and trust that you're getting good info. People are your priority. You value safety of others. You trust your team to get you on and off the ground and support you on this journey. In your opinion, what makes a great pilot?
So I think what makes a really good pilot is somebody who has the ability to learn, but also stay curious. I heard when I was getting into becoming a pilot, there's two different types of pilot. There's bold pilots and there's old pilots, but there's no such thing as a bold old pilot. And so these are the different sayings that we have in the aviation business because, we could all be bold, but at a certain point in time, you have to rely on, okay, what is the safe approach, for the flight? And I really think that, it's a constant training event. As a pilot, it's over and over and over. And so what makes a tremendous pilot is somebody who flies a lot. Same in the real estate game. Who's the most proficient in real estate is somebody who's doing deal over deal over a deal. And I just keep it simple.
Ryan, you mentioned that your uncle kind of introduced you to your love of flying as well as your love of real estate. Sounds like that's a very influential person in your life. Can you tell me about your relationship with that person and how real estate sort of entered into the conversation?
Yeah. So when I was about 10 years old, my parents split. I moved from Southern California to Scottsdale, and my uncle, he was actually a builder in Scottsdale, Arizona. When I was a young man, he brought me on the job sites because for me, I was just trying to, okay, what's next, right? So I wanted a car. And so he started teaching me about real estate. He was a builder. He always wanted to be a commercial airline pilot, but one day he took off, he was flying, and he actually scared himself because he couldn't find the airport. And so he literally gave up on his dream of becoming a commercial airline pilot. And so when I was 17 years old, I didn't have any money. And we were flying, and I asked him, I said, "Hey, look, can I actually get paid to do this?" And he said, "Yeah." And so, really that's when aviation was introduced into my life from a young man. And I really just started grinding. I started flying every single day. I put the real estate on hold, but I always knew that I wanted to come back to it. So that's really how it was introduced to me from a young age. And, I had to wait because I didn't have any money.
So that's awesome. So that's how you ended up in aviation. But what was life like in the early days of your career?
In aviation or in the real estate?
In aviation.
So, I mean, look, in aviation, when you first get started out, you're traveling a lot. You're not making a lot of money. My first year as a commercial airline pilot, I think I made $48,000 a year because they had to put so much time and energy and effort into training me. And so I went and got a student loan for $140,000. My first year, I made $48,000. I was a first officer on a $40 million jet. And I was traveling all over the US, Canada, and Mexico. And as I built seniority, life started to become better for me. And I started getting more days off. And so you fast track that to 25 years old. This is actually where 2008, 2009, 2010 happened. And it was really great timing for me because I started making money in the airline. There was great deals in real estate in Arizona. And so that's actually when I bought my first, what I call a crash pad, which is really cool because in aviation, it's kind of like the house hacking. But in aviation, we call it a crash pad where you rent your rooms out to these other pilots. And so I bought my first home and I was able to rent out 3 of the rooms, collect net profit of $400. And so that was really my start in real estate. It was a single family home in Phoenix, Arizona. And I was making $400. I was living in the master bedroom. And that's when I realized I needed to do something bigger.
So why didn't you scale and just buy a whole bunch of properties and make them all crash pads?
Because it's management intensive. The reason I didn't do that is because you had to manage it. Like I went home one night and it's a common area. You share everything. And I didn't want to, I could have scaled it with many homes and it would have been a great business, but it's really management intensive. There's a lot of people coming in and out of the homes. And it's just really, really heavy on the time. What I started looking at is, okay, how do I buy these apartments? So my next deal was a 4-plex because I didn't want to live with the renters. I didn't want to live with the people. And so that's where my breakthrough happened, where I was like, okay, I could do these single family, but how do I scale?